Welcome back to the channel, Husker fans. This is Steven in the Go Big Red MWP podcast. MWP for Men of World Peace. Didn't see the last video. We talked about the name change. Just think it's more friendly than FTW, as you can imagine. With that, today we are going to be doing our way too early season predictions. So we're going to go through each game. I'm going to touch up on some notes for each team. There'll be a more in-depth one when it comes closer to the season as teams get a little bit more established. If you like what you see today, please hit that like button, subscribe. We want to continue growing this channel, and we can only do that with you. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, I just want to acknowledge, I think there was a box on top of that. I did move it. I'm in the process of moving. So yeah, with that, we're going to get started with Minnesota. It is at Minnesota. I do see this being a win though. I see potentially going in as an underdog. And if it was at Minnesota in, let's say, November, when it gets super cold, or even December, I'd probably take it as a loss, and I would chalk it as a loss just because how physical they typically always are. With that, with Mo Ibrahim moving on, they do have a quarterback that kind of torched us last season, taking over for Tanner Morgan, and I think that he'll do well. But I see Matt Rule coming out and getting a win for his first time as a head coach at Nebraska. Next, we have at Colorado. First, I'm happy that we got Rule, and I am guilty that I did want Dion at first just because how much traction it could bring to Nebraska. However, quickly I saw that that's not necessarily the way we want to go. We want to build, we want to have a program established for many years to come, and Matt Rule is that. And he's bringing just as much attention to the team, just everything that he's doing. And then the Dylan Raiola recruitment, like, he's doing a great job. With that, I am going to chalk this up as we have a great plan going into the game, and we are able to overcome their talented transfers that have flocked to Colorado, and we're able to hand Dion a loss. Next, we are versus North Illinois. I see this as a win. Don't be fooled. We need to show up, and they did upset us back in 2017, but ultimately I believe that we will continue our hot streak and beat them having a different quarterback for each half, meaning we are going to score and our defense is going to keep them quiet. Like, they're going to do a good job. With that, we're 3-0 in the first quarter of the season. Next, we have versus Louisiana Tech. DeColdis will be back at Memorial Stadium against his former team. However, they should be a walk in the park, and it should be a good confidence boost as we are going into Michigan for our next game, 4-0. Next, we're versus Michigan. As you know, a premier playoff team, one of the top teams in the Big Ten, joining Ohio State up there. Definitely probably our most difficult matchup of the season. And just with the stability in that program, the high quality players they're able to bring, and now Ernest Hausman going over there. I see Nebraska playing hard, but honestly, the O-line alone, I believe, will push us around. They're bringing a lot of talent back this year as well. I see them potentially being a top 5 team at the end of the year too. So I would be more than happy if I was wrong about this and this was our first signature win, but I just don't see it. Next, we have at Illinois. So as of right now, I have this chalked as a loss. They're getting former Ole Miss quarterback Luke Altmaier, who should have a decent season. Losing Chase Brown, I do believe to be a small step back. I think he was brilliant against Nebraska in particular, but they do have a junior running back who has done well in the past. He was injured most of the year last season, otherwise we would have seen him more, but I think he could, step up and have a good game. Just what their head coach is doing over there, they are doing some pretty good things. I remember a couple years ago, we chalked it as a win each time going into Illinois, but now they're starting to get better and they're starting to pick up steam. With that, we have 2 losses in a row. We are 4-2. Next, we are versus Northwestern. See this as a win. I feel we have their number, even though last year we all know what happened. And that's why I think gone are the days where we botch the game at the end. I see Northwestern being a below middle of the pack opponent, and that we will impose our will on them and want to get on the winning path, making us 5-2. Almost a little bit past the midway part of the season, and we are almost bowl eligible. Can you imagine? Next, we're versus Purdue. Most recently, they lost 63-7 versus LSU. Last year was the one-man show with Trey Palmer with over 200 receiving yards. Their quarterback absolutely torched us, but Jeff Braun's gone, and transfer quarterback Hudson Card from Texas is coming in. I think they'll be transitioning. While I see Card, I think he will do well, but I do believe as a whole, Nebraska will be too much for Purdue. And we beat them, making up for the loss from last year. So I'm taking a win. Next, we have at Michigan State. I see Michigan State as a very hostile environment, and I want to give the win to Nebraska, even just the overly optimistic part of me. I want to make it happen. I want it to happen, but I believe as the season wears on, the physicality that this game will require will be too much, and I don't know if we have the depth pieces as of now. Their O-line is going to be very seasoned. None of their Michigan State wide receivers really stand out to me, and Jalen Berger may or may not be a huge factor. You know what? I'm going to take the Huskers on this one in a fourth quarter, very close matchup. In years past, we would have absolutely no hope in this matchup, and that we would end up losing that game. And I see this as the first signature win of Matt Rule's career. God, it's exciting to think about because I would have chalked this up as a loss, no doubt. But we're going to take the Huskers winning this matchup. All right, Husker fans, as you can see, I had another change. I had to stop the last recording and I had to get ready for work, so that explains that. So, after the very physical Michigan State game, we have versus Maryland, and that is a home game. I do see the Huskers coming and just making a statement like, hey, the Michigan State game wasn't a fluke. Like, we are here to play and we are going to whoop your you know what. But yes, I see Nebraska winning this game and improving their record. Wisconsin just as solid as they come. I will say I do hope that they get some more firepower, and I'm sure they will, especially with a couple more teams joining us in our conference. Yeah, Wisconsin, a team that I do believe will be too physical at this point in the season for us to beat. So I'll say we take the loss. We are now 8-3 after this game. Versus Iowa, always big coming into the end of the season and being able to go head-to-head with them, even with a new transfer, exciting quarterback that they have for the first time in a long time, may I add, because they're typically just, pocket passers that, yeah, sure, they're a little accurate, they can move just a little bit, but there's not really much else to them. Now, I will say I see us winning this game. I see us being bowl eligible for the first time since 2016 when we win against Tennessee. Who that matchup will be against, I have no idea, but it's very exciting as a Husker fan to be on the cusp of bowl eligibility, and I do see a possibility where 9-3 will be our record. Of course, that's way too optimistic, a lot of things going our way, but I could definitely see it. I think for sure we should win 7 or more games this season. If the line was at 6.5, I would take the over. If the line was 7.5, I would need to see what the spring football kind of looks like and to see who comes back, who gets injured, and stuff like that. But thank you guys so much for joining our way too early spring game predictions. Comment below what you think the record will be. You know, if you liked what you saw, like I mentioned earlier, make sure to subscribe so we can continue growing this channel. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.